Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperium as we get into the Imperial Warmaster Slaydo. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And if you have any suggestions, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 Facts on the Imperial Warmaster Slaydo. Slaydo was the first Imperial Warmaster of the Sabbath World Crusade. He was a man of great personal faith in the Emperor of Mankind's cause, and held a particular affection for the legacy of Saint Sabbath, who was his personal patron saint. Following the disastrous loss of the Sabbath worlds to the forces of chaos, there was many suggestions within the Administratum that an Imperial military expedition should be sent out to liberate the besieged sector. But most officers within the high echelons of the Imperial military had little to no enthusiasm for such an undertaking, all except for the then Lord Militant, Slaydo. A tactical genius, Slaydo was a capable Imperial commander who had already established a reputation as a skilled leader during the successful Kulin Wars. Capitalizing on his popularity within the rank and file of the Imperial Guard, the Lord Militant petitioned the High Lords of Terra for the honor of leading such a crusade. Very early on in his career, he had supported taking such actions, as he felt a strong passion for the liberation of the hard-won territories of the Sabbath worlds that had been so poorly defended. Many of his senior commanders and aides reported that Slaydo believed the loss of the sector to be a crime against the Emperor himself. Eventually, the High Lords granted Slaydo the rank of Warmaster and charged him with the sacred duty of carrying out the monumental task of liberating the Sabbath worlds. Slaydo's subsequent elevation to his esteemed position was the envy of his fellow Lord Militants, an envy that would quickly be tempered by the realization of a task that had been set before Slaydo. Slaydo had long felt a personal duty to conduct the liberation of the Sabbath worlds from the forces of chaos. Over 2 decades before the crusade had even commenced, many of his senior commanders and aides related stories of Slaydo's passion for the cause of the saint. It was later noted that even in the initial planning stages of the crusade, Slaydo believed that he was walking in the path of the saint, an often overlooked reference to the Saint Sabbath's original campaign to bring the Sabbath worlds into the Imperium of Man during the 35th millennia. The Warmaster's only overriding fear was that at his advanced age of 150 Terran years old at the start of the crusade, he would not live to see the eventual victorious completion of such a massive campaign. Unfortunately, this vision would prove to be accurate. The Warmaster met his fate on the world of Balhat during the final push to take the heavily contested planet. Taking up his power sword, the Warmaster personally led the first attack against the Palace of the Oligarchy, where he hoped to come face to face with the chaotic commander, Archon Nadisbar, the spiritual leader of the forces of chaos within the Sabbath world sector. On the 10th day of the campaign on Balhat, on the 18th hour, Slaydo's command forces encountered the Archon and his elite bodyguards on the western palisade. The Warmaster and the vile Archon soon joined in furiously intense single combat. The fight between the two forces lasted for only between 6 to 11 minutes. During the hand-to-hand fighting, Slaydo took 2 mortal wounds that he somehow managed to ignore, maintaining the initiative before delivering a lethal blow to the Archon, who fell back dead. The Warmaster was found by his troops already close to death, lying on the marble floor of the West Atrium. He was far beyond any medical help, as his grievous wounds were clearly mortal. Imperial Guard units valiantly defended their own mortally wounded commander and sent many cultists to their deaths. Warmaster Slaydo managed to live long enough to see the Imperial victory of Balhat complete, although the pacification efforts would continue for a considerable amount of time. His premonition about himself not living to see the successful completion of the crusade had proven accurate, though many witnesses reported that he died contently, resigned to his inevitable fate to die on Balhat, as if he had fully accepted it and was glad that it could come in the midst of the victory of the Emperor. His last words were, "I'm done, and yet I'm undone." It is often noted by Imperial historians that Slaydo's primary anxiety lay not in the fear of premature death, but in who would be his eventual successor in carrying out the crusade. The Warmaster recognized that there would be more than likely to be a political infight amongst the Lord Militants of his command once he was gone. He knew the crusade could not move forward with internal disputes, and that it would take a strong leader to capitalize on a grand victory. Therefore, the dying Slaydo appointed the young marshal, Montgomery, to be his successor as a Warmaster. This appointment by the dying Warmaster created no arguments from his lord militants, but his officers were extremely angry at Slaydo's decision, as they regarded the newly appointed Warmaster as too young and too junior to take any responsibility for leading the crusade. A period of bitter political jockeying ensued to weaken the new Warmaster before he could grasp a firm hand on the reins of command and the loyalties of the Crusade's troops. But Montgomery managed to cling tenaciously to his rightful position as the newly appointed senior commander of the Sabbath World Crusade. Following his triumphant final battle, Slaydo's body was laid to rest with full imperial honors on Balhot, housed in a large mausoleum known as the Honorarium. And those were 40 facts on the Imperial Warmaster Slaydo, or Slaydo, however you want to pronounce it. The reason I wanted to create this video is because I wanted to talk to you guys about creating the lore to your Imperial Guard regiment. When you're starting an Imperial Guard army, or if you already have an Imperial Guard army, the one thing that you do come to realize is that the regiment that you choose plays a big part as to how the lore is going to be twisted. And let's be honest, the easiest and the most common Imperial Guard regiment to have is the Cadian Guard. Even though Cadia is gone, the Cadian Imperial Guardsman is just your standard Imperial Guard unit that you see, or that GW sells. Now, if you want to go with the Volstrian Firstborn, the Death Corps of Krieg, the Catachans, the countless other regiments that exists out there, it usually tends to be a little bit more expensive, or you go the line of kit bashing your own army, which is what I'm trying to do, which is great, but it does cost a lot of money. Now, you don't necessarily have to do all that in order to create your own special Imperial Guard army lore. What I wanted to talk about today is focusing on the individual commanders and captains of the army that you're building, and then the lore kind of trickles down from there. As you see in this lore video, the Imperial Warmaster and his whole just persona of worshiping the Saint Sabbat and wanting to cleanse the Sabbat worlds from chaos really adds fluff to his crusade. So when you're building an Imperial Guard army, or if you already have an Imperial Guard army and you want to add more lore to it, make yourself the Warmaster. As a Warmaster, what do you want to do, or what do you want the army to do for the Imperium? Do you want to cleanse a planet? Do you want to cleanse a sector? Do you want to obtain a certain artifact that's special to you or your family? And then by focusing on one main objective as a Warmaster, it's easier for you to build lore on your specific Imperial Guard army. And you don't necessarily have to ever create a Warmaster model, because there is no stats for a Warmaster within the Imperial Guard. Really, you are the hidden person, and you're only going to come out when the biggest and baddest battle is going to happen, and that may never come. But once you create a goal and an objective for your army to conquer for the Imperium, then all of a sudden your regular average Imperial Guard or Cadian Guard all of a sudden seem more fluffy and much more inspirational, on top of the fact that you can add whatever paint color scheme you want. But it's not just about the color scheme, it's about the goal behind it. That way, whenever you go into battle with an enemy, you are trying to cleanse that enemy from whatever goal or objective you set for yourself. I hope that helps. And another thing I wanted to talk about, kind of piggybacking off the fact of adding fluff to your captain. Recently, we played a game of 40K with a brand new player to the group. He comes from D&D, so he's like role-playing and building lore just comes natural, because that's what D&D is. You're just kind of making stuff up as you go. But what's interesting is that he went up against me and the Sound Alchemist, and he won. Him and his partner beat us. And this was the very first time that he's ever won within 40K. So what he did is he marked the base of each individual captain and marked it as a victory for him. And I just started thinking about how we've never actually done that. We've been playing 40K since we were kids in elementary school, and we've never thought about actually making individual models special based on the battles that they've been in. There's been countless of epic battles, and there's been countless of funny moments or epic moments, but we never signify, or we never give those models their some type of honor for doing that. So the fact that he just put a little tick mark right next to the base to signify that that model won against us, and on top of that he made it to the end of the battle, is just something that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because not only does it inspire you, it inspires you to continue to want to play that model, to see oh, is my captain going to continue to be a badass, or is he gonna die? But it also it makes your army more realistic, and it makes it feel more fluffy when you have a captain that normally lasts to the end of the game, and you want to see if that winning streak is going to continue. Something cool like that really keeps you playing 40K, because one thing we've noticed is that there's usually huge gaps of time where we don't really want to play. We just don't have the motivation. But if you look at your figures, and if you have your figures out there and you see the little tick marks on their bases, and you know that this weekend you can play another game and have another tick mark, it kind of gives you the push to continue to play the tabletop game. So I just wanted to share that with you. And then on top of that too, it also builds on the fact that you are letting the tabletop actions, or the tabletop events, build your own lore. This new player, he played Ravengard, and he played against the Sound Alchemist Celestial Sons and my orcs. So his victory now can be incorporated into his lore, and now this Ravengard chapter, or this Ravengard company, all of a sudden defeated War Boss, whatever, and defeated the traitorous Lost Legion of whatever, and creating lore based on the enemies that you fight, whether it's at the game store, the Games Workshop, or even your home, just adds badassness to each individual battle, and it makes you want to continue to play the tabletop, because you want another story to throw into the lore of your actual army. So I was thinking about that as I was reading the lore to this Imperial Warmaster, and I hope that helps you on creating your own Imperial Guard army lore. If you guys ever want to share your lore, if you guys did create a specific regiment, let us know. Hit us up on either Facebook or email us at onemindsyndicate1, the number 1, at gmail.com, and we would love to create a fan lore video for your specific army. So that's always a possibility. If you guys enjoy our content and you like what we do, don't hesitate to support us on Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. Link down in the description below. If you can't support us on Patreon, we understand. Simply by watching, you're helping out. So commenting, sharing on Reddit and Facebook, all that kind of stuff really helps out the channel. So if you like our content and you do that, thank you. Thanks so much. But yeah, more giveaways, or the giveaways are coming soon, probably at the end of this week. I'm going to finish up on my Demon Primarch videos, so hint hint, the giveaway is going to be something about Demon Primarch, so stay tuned. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
put my freedom